So in one of my last videos, we covered the Phrygian scale or the Phrygian mode, and it's a mode of the major scale, and that's something we'll break down in maybe some later videos of exactly what that means. But it's another scale shape that has a really unique and distinct sound to it. And it's a minor quality scale, so it shares a lot of similarities with just the straight minor or natural minor scale. There's a one-note difference in the Phrygian scale as compared to the minor scale, and that looks like this. So it sounds a lot like the minor scale. It's very dark, but it also has more of a mysterious sound. And it's commonly used in a lot of modern metal and metalcore riffs. And if you've listened to bands like Wage War, specifically the song Stitch, for one of the more unique riffs in that song, in the verse, they're just using the Phrygian mode. And actually in the riff in this song, they're using what's called the Phrygian Dominant scale. And it looks, again, really similar to the Phrygian scale shape, but there's one note difference. So instead of it going a half step and then a whole step, it actually goes a half step and then a whole step and a half. So it looks like this. So you can hear another stark difference between the Phrygian Dominant scale and just the regular Phrygian scale. It has a really cool sound to it and makes for really awesome riffs. So I'm going to break down the riff in the song Stitch. I'm in drop C, but this concept applies to any drop tuning and anywhere that you use the scale. The song is in drop A sharp, but we're still going to use the same concept. A lot of times I'll just either use my 7-string, or I have a software amp sim that can transpose down a few octaves to give that same effect. So I played a piece of the riff at the beginning of this video, and again in drop C it looks like this. So the first part of the riff, they're playing open 10-12 on the lowest string, and it's basically just the root note and then the last two notes of the scale back to the root. So if you look at the scale shape on the 5th fret of the 5th string, it's just the same two notes, but they're playing it on the lower string, so it sounds like this. So again, it's still in key, and those are the first 3 notes that they're playing for the riff. The next section looks like this. And then this group of 4 notes here is just the first note and the second note, and the 5th and the 6th note. And then that riff just plays a little hammer on and pull off. So altogether we have. And that last part is playing another octave of the same first and second note, and then down to the last note. So it may look really complicated, and when played fast and up to speed, it looks really intricate, but they're just using notes in the scale, and they're playing them in a spot that sounds really cool and is really fun and kind of easy on the hands to play. The second section of the riff, they're starting off with the same notes, but they're just playing them in a different spot. So 3-5 on the 5th string is the same as 10-12 on the 6th string. And you may notice, even in this video, it may not be exactly what they're playing, but it's important to know that these are the same notes. So you might find that on certain recordings of songs, it sounds like they're playing notes in a lower or higher octave, and then maybe when you see the bands play them live, they play them in a different position. They're still playing the same notes, but it might just be a little bit easier to achieve when playing live. So for instance, in the studio, they're trying to get the best recording, so they might play it in the spot that sounds the best. But if you were to play the whole thing in one continuous riff, you might find yourself jumping around sound, and you might hear some scratches and some unwanted noise from your left hand fingers sliding up and down the neck. So sometimes they'll record things in little pieces. It's not really cheating. They're just trying to get the best possible recording for the record. So then live, they can still play the same thing, but you'll hear more of a live take. So you'll hear like the little transients and the little nuances of when they move their hand up and down the neck. So it's just another way of playing the same riff. And you might see that for other songs when you look up tabs, that certain things might be not exactly the same note position, but they are the same notes. So it's just something to keep in mind. So again, the second half goes like this. So we have the 3/5 to the open. And then they're just playing the scale pattern in a descending position up around the 5th fret where the scale shape is. And a lot of my videos, I've started the scale shape, whether it's the Phrygian or the minor scale shape, on the 5th fret of the 5th string, and it's for this reason, because then we can bounce off of the open low string. So they're just playing a descending pattern, and it goes from 8-7-5 to 9-6-5. And those are just the reverse order of the notes from the first note to the 6th note. So the pattern looks like this. So one thing to maybe practice is to practice the scale shape descending pattern without the jump back up one note. So it would look like this. So the actual pattern goes down 4 notes, back up 1 note, and then down the rest of the scale. And then just like in the first section of the riff, they add some palm mutes in certain parts of it to give it a really unique sound. It almost has, like, to me, a whipping kind of effect to it. So it sounds like this. And then at the very end, they just add some power chords on the open string, and then the 1st fret, and then the 5th fret. So again, the whole thing sounds like this. So the first thing to do would be practice the Phrygian scale shape, and then also practice the Phrygian Dominant scale shape, and those look like this. Practice those up and down until you get really used to them and used to the sound, and then start to add a little bit of speed, and then start to add things like palm muting in sections and start to build up the speed so you get really comfortable with playing these as efficiently as possible and as clean and tight as possible at very high speeds. And hopefully this helps to connect how you would take a scale and write a really cool modern metal or metalcore sounding riff in context and in playing. So again, this is used in the verse, and it sounds great behind the vocals and with a really fast-paced, up-tempo drum beat, and then it kind of goes into a half-time drum beat, so it's full time for the first half of the riff, and then the second half of the riff it plays in a half-time. So it builds this tension and release where they're playing it really fast and it sounds like everything is moving at a high speed all together, and then it opens up where the drums kind of allow the riff to breathe a little bit, the vocals kind of match and are a little syncopated to both the drums and the riff, and then it just has a really cool sound, and then they move into another section of the song. So it also helps with like your arrangement when you're writing the songs. And if you are interested in private one-on-one lessons to dive a little bit deeper into topics like this and break down some of your favorite band's riffs so that you can start writing riffs like this, and you can reach me by going to the link in the description below, fill out the form. I'd love to hear more about your experience and about your goals and how I can help you achieve them. So again, hopefully this video was helpful for you, and if you have any other suggestions like scales or scale shapes or songs or riffs you want to see broken down so that you can better understand them, just drop a comment below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I drop these videos. So again, thank you so much for all of the support and all of the comments on these videos. I really appreciate it. And just remember, don't get frustrated. Just start slow. Like always, work your way up, build speed, and start to add some other things into your practice routines. And then start to write. It's the best way that you can really learn stuff, is to write and try to implement even just small pieces of these concepts into your writing. So again, have fun and don't get frustrated, and I'll see you in the next video.